have a bad headache. I can't even concentrate. I'm dizzy most of the time these days. I often get tired. Wow, blurred vision. My feet are shaking. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I'm shedding weight at an alarming rate. I'm often feverish too. And a test shows it's not malaria. What could be wrong with me? It's been a while since I used my blood pressure apparatus. Okay. Could I have high blood pressure? Well, these are the symptoms I've just described. And there are risk factors attached to having high blood pressure or hypertension. Welcome to Wellness and Living. Our topic today is high blood pressure or hypertension. My name is Thelma, Obaze. If your blood pressure is 140/90 for a sustained period of time, then one could say you have high blood pressure or hypertension. Is that a word you're familiar with? The symptoms I just described, have you seen them before? In one person, occurring at the same time? But first up, we're coming to talk with you. We're coming out on the streets.
High blood pressure is a medical condition, as the name implies. It's something that happens due to a lot of factors. One of it may be due to old age. One of it may be due to high cholesterol level in the blood. It could be due to clogged arteries in the heart.
I once had an idea of one of my aunties in town in Akwa Ibom State that suffered from that very, I call it sickness, so that I've been suffering from it. And then she can't do normal things she's supposed to do. And then if she's trying to fix up some things for herself, sooner she will find it difficult to do them. And she's telling us that, she'll be telling us that her blood is going up, and then she can't take up her normal responsibilities.
I know of a person that died as a result of high blood pressure. The experience is not that good because high blood pressure, I don't pray it for anybody. And well, when it comes, it's better you go for regular checkup to really know, because let me just say it causes a sudden death, and it's a silent killer. So, and also one needs to be very careful. You take life easy, you think positive, even no matter irrespective of what happened. So just know that God is in control.
From what I've heard or what I've learned so far, I think one of the primary causes of high blood pressure is mental stress, when people overthink, and I think that's like the primary cause to the best of my knowledge.
They target big man sickness in those days, and that is generally if you are thinking so much. You see, if you want to carry the word on your head, you are thinking so much the cares of this world, you will have high blood pressure. You can break down.
High blood pressure happens from so many factors, like ostentatious living. You cut your coat according to your size. Ill-gotten money, it doesn't normally give person rest. You'll be thinking of maybe you are being trailed. So it's one of the factors. And non-payment of salary or pension, such things can bring about high blood pressure, because you'll be seeing many of your pursuit in life going down.
There are many factors to high blood pressure. One may be the nutrition intake, that is what the person takes as diet. And another thing is anxiety. When you think more about the economic situation.
I think it's thinking and overstress. Yes, overstress.
when you're restless and every other thing. Your lifestyle matters. It's good to be exercising. You have to watch your diet, the kind of food you eat. Once you eat low fatty foods, and you should exercise regularly. It doesn't mean strenuous exercise. It could just be a walk for like 30 minutes. You take a long walk, come back. And then another thing is you watch the kind of food you eat, especially your fatty intake, intake of salt. And then basically you eat high proteinous food, high fiber with low cholesterol food.
I think too much of thinking, even sometimes unforgiveness can bring about it when you have too much load on yourself, and too much tension also can cause it. I held it sometimes that if you eat too much salt, you can get, you have hypertension, but I don't know how true that is anyway.
Exercising, right? Trying to have a stress-free life, although that's almost inevitable in a country like ours. Eating right also, I believe that goes a long way to helping in avoiding high blood pressure.
It's for the people to keep themselves happy. It will make them to, not develop high blood pressure. You should ignore anything in your hand is not within your reach. You don't go about killing yourself.
Hypertension or high blood pressure is a condition in which the force of the blood against the artery walls is too high. That results in elevated blood pressure, which we often call high blood pressure or hypertension. Are you living with high blood pressure? Are you managing hypertension well? I know people who have managed hypertension for over 30 years. They are living normal and healthy lives. That is what you too must do. There's nothing to be ashamed or afraid of. People have managed it, and so can you. But first up, the best way to manage it is to be properly diagnosed and to meticulously go after the best Medicare you can afford. But first up, shouldn't you get more information? The best time to start that process is right now. Have you ever wondered what blood pressure number means? Experts score systolic, the top number, and diastolic, the bottom number. When the heart beats, it squeezes and pushes blood through the arteries to the rest of the body. This force creates pressure on the blood vessels, and that is referred to as the systolic blood pressure. According to research, a normal systolic pressure is below 120. A reading of 120/129 is elevated, while 130/139 is stage 1 high blood pressure, and this is called hypertension. 140 or more is stage 2 hypertension, and 180 or more is the hypertensive crisis. The diastolic reading, or the bottom number, is the pressure in the arteries when the heart rests between beats. This is the time when the heart is filled with blood and gets oxygen, while a normal diastolic blood pressure is lower than 80. It is pertinent to know that even if the diastolic number is lower than 80, one can have elevated blood pressure if the diastolic reading is 120/129. According to experts, when one detects that the blood pressure is normal, less than 120/80, it is advised that to continue with frequent checks. Then, if the blood pressure is elevated, that is, the systolic blood pressure between 120 and 129, or diastolic blood pressure, or less than 80, a medical professional will recommend lifestyle changes like exercises and a better and richer diet. It is advisable by experts that frequent checks on the numbers should be carried out to enable a medical professional decide when medication is required. It is important to note that blood pressure could be high without symptoms. That is the reason why hypertension is referred to as the silent killer. If you leave your blood pressure unchecked for a long period of time, who knows, anything could happen. A wise person is that person, man or woman, who checks their blood pressure with their blood pressure apparatus often. Treating high blood pressure takes a multi-pronged approach, which includes dietary changes and improvement, medication, and regular exercise. Hypertension or high blood pressure is dangerous because it can lead to stroke, heart attack, heart failure, or kidney disease. A wise person can be a healthy person for a long period, especially when you take the necessary precautions by having regular checkups and using your blood pressure apparatus to check your blood pressure often. Be that wise person. Says one way to get high blood pressure or hypertension is to go mountain climbing over molehills. I will take it to mean that you can manage your stress better. De-stress, detox, remove the anger, move on, move forward. Don't let anger discolor your view of the world. Well, Dr. Ebute Agbo has done a lot of research on this issue, talking about hypertension or high blood pressure. And he's very willing to share what he knows with us.
High blood pressure is also called hypertension. So it refers to an elevated blood pressure within the arterial vessels. Objectively, it is you make a diagnosis after you have measured the blood pressure using the proper machine, and you've documented that on 2 different occasions, blood pressure of the person concerned was greater than or equal to 140/90. Your patient should, to a large extent, be seated, relaxed, leg uncrossed, should not have had coffee or exercised in the last 30 minutes that would have excited the patient and probably raised the blood pressure above normal, for example, and should also not have had any stimulant prior to taking the blood pressure, and is usually advisable to repeat it about 3 times and take an average. Recent studies in Nigeria have showed that the prevalence in the Nigerian population, in the adult, is as much as 40%. The risk factors can be divided into the ones you can do something about and the ones you really can't do something about. So we call them the modifiable and the non-modifiable factors. So starting with the non-modifiable factors, you have things like age. Your chances of developing hypertension increases as you age. In fact, from the age of 55, you have a 90% chance of suddenly becoming hypertensive. Another factor that is non-modifiable is sex. So men are more at risk at developing hypertension than women who are pre-menopausal. Ethnicity is also an important factor. So the black man, the Negroid, is more at risk of developing hypertension. It has to do with genetic constitution and our inability to handle salt. Another non-modifiable factor of course, will be if you have an inherited risk, a genetic risk. So if you have a situation where parents, brothers, sisters, relatives are hypertensive, you have a higher risk of developing hypertension. But the modifiable risk are things that are acquired, so to speak. So things you may be able to do something about. So things like overweight, it's a risk factor. Things like sedentary life, increased intake of salt, is also a risk factor. Stress has also been known to be a significant modifiable factor for hypertension, and the use of cigarettes, smoking, the excessive consumption of alcohol is also a modifiable risk factor. Use of substances, psychoactive substances like cocaine, amphetamine are also included in the group of modifiable risk factor. It is also important to know that the consumption of certain off-label drugs and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory like diclofenac, it's been shown that the consumption of certain local herbs may increase the risk of developing hypertension. There are other group of factors that we consider to be not as common, but they are important. So certain acquired conditions like hormonal abnormalities, like high steroid levels, high growth hormone levels, high aldosterone levels, can also increase the risk of hypertension. The challenge with hypertension is that on hypertension that is uncared for, unmanaged, can lead to several complications. I would give you a story. Sometime in April 12th, 1945, the 32nd President of the United States lifted up his hand and screamed that he had a terrible headache. He subsequently collapsed and died. That was Theodore Roosevelt. He had on autopsy revealed that he had a bleed inside his brain. Around the time he was being seen by doctors, and his blood pressure measurements were in the region of 300 over 150. Some of the dangers and complications of uncared for high blood pressure would include stroke, like in the case of Roosevelt, heart failure, like we see in our clinics, kidney failure. A critical number of the kidney failure epidemic in Nigeria will be directly as a result of poorly treated, uncontrolled hypertension. Also, problems with sight, what we call retinopathy, problems with the vision, occurs as a result of uncontrolled hypertension. And then lastly but not the least, what we call peripheral vascular diseases. So diseases in the limbs which result from blockade of vessels. All hope is not lost for people who are hypertensive. There is treatment, there is intervention that gives result. And it's been shown that people who are able to take their medications and see their healthcare provider regularly, roughly maybe about every 2 months, thereabout, are able to keep a lot of complications at bay. Because the whole aim of taking your medications is that you want your blood pressure to come to a level that simulates the normal. The etiology, the causes of hypertension in more than 90-95% of the situations are complex, and we are unable to cure it permanently. So a critical part of the intervention for patients who have hypertension is drug medication. But the cornerstone is lifestyle. Stress management is also a critical aspect of blood pressure control. And then the alcohol consumption. Smoking is a no-no, absolutely a no-no for patients who are hypertensive. And so if you are hypertensive and you are smoking, your blood pressure probably would not be controlled. The use of certain medications like NSAIDs needs to be avoided. NSAIDs are things like medications for pain, which if you abuse them, you would have challenge with controlling your blood pressure. Maintaining your appointments with your healthcare provider is very key. As much as 40 million Nigerians, adults, have hypertension, and 10 million Nigerian kids may have hypertension. But again, this is a new area. It's probably underdiagnosed, but has its own implication. So we need to look at strengthening lifestyle modifications, which, apart from being useful for treatment, can also delay, prevent, or reduce the severity of hypertension.
I may not understand what author Bayer means by saying a newspaper is a circulating library with high blood pressure. Is he saying that we shouldn't read our newspapers? Perhaps I think what it means is that anything you are reading that has more negative things than positive and is impacting you negatively, you should discard it. He's still talking about the stress level. You should do things in life that add joy, add color, add worth, add ingenuity to your person. For me, I exercise often. Some say Thelma is an exercise freak. And I tell my friends and my family because I wish all of them well. Longevity is what we all seek after all, isn't it? So why are you not working out with us? Come join us. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so just like this, one leg in front of the other, and then you lower the leg that's behind. So the right leg is in front, you lower the left. Lower. You can either put your hands on your waist for balance or you let them dangle. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The lunges work on the glutes. They give you proper position and posture. Let's do how many? 5? Come to this side now. Not be here. You didn't get from the side. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Wonderful, simple, easy to practice lunges. Work on the right leg and the left leg. Alternate the positions and enjoy life while doing it. Exercise is fun. Go at your own pace. Build a support group of family and friends. Whew. Dick Gregory opines that people living with high blood pressure, diabetes, and many other ailments have lifestyle challenges. They are focusing on the negative lifestyle habits. He's asking them to discard it. That once you change your negative lifestyle habit, good health hugs you. It embraces you. It welcomes you. If you already have high blood pressure or hypertension, I want to tell you, it's not a death sentence. It's nothing to be ashamed or afraid of. You can manage it, you can live well. We have been talking about high blood pressure, and we've come to learn that it has no bias for gender, for age. If you make yourself susceptible, you will have it. It's been a pleasure spending time with you on Wellness and Living. But to ensure that I bring you new and factual information next time, I must go and do some more research. But first, I must thank you, all of you, who come to our social media handle, Wellness and Living, at Nigerian Television Authority to interact with us. My name is Thelma Obaze. I'd love to do this again, but I have to do some more research so that when next I'm talking with you, you are learning something new, definitely. For now, it's bye-bye.